Welcome back to Deal Nation, where we tap into Launch Control's nationwide network to find in what's bringing in deals and how we can all work together to build generational wealth. We're joined today by Brad Bone, the co-founder of RiverXai, as well as Home Buyers. How you doing, Brad?
Good. Thank you. Good to be here.
Great to have you on, man. I really appreciate it. So you and I talked about this a little bit pre-show, but I want to kind of give everybody some background on just how you got involved in REI. I know you and your brother Justin have been hugely successful, and then yeah, we'll kind of bridge into RiverXai and what you guys got going on now.
Yeah, so we started back in 2014 is when I started. I was working with a partner. It was actually a cousin of mine. We started buying at the auction, and we bought a couple deals. They ended up pivoting into something different, and then Justin and I partnered together. Justin's my twin, so we've been partners our whole life, and we started Prime Buyers, our home buying company, and then that was in 2015. So we started just sending direct mail and didn't know what we were doing. It was just the two of us, and we hired a VA fairly soon, and just started that way. So
Oh,
that was in California. Eventually, we got into Florida, and so now we focus 100% in Florida.
okay, cool. So I got a couple questions there going in. I think something that's really good to highlight, because especially for people that are coming in new, and a lot of people listening, a lot of people coming into launch control are new at this, right? And you said we didn't know what we were doing, which
Yeah,
is which is true for basically everybody when they get started, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what were some of the early surprises for you and Justin when you just, kind of started looking at those auctions and started trying to figure the whole thing out? Like what were some of your early light bulbs or early surprises?
Yeah, I think the early surprises were, well, I mean, we needed to prove to ourselves that marketing worked. That was the first big hurdle to get over in our head. Does marketing actually work? You spend this money, you send out this mail, it's kind of on faith, and does it work? And it does work. We saw the results from other people. We knew it worked, but there's this fear of like you got to prove that to yourself. And we started getting some deals. I don't know what our marketing X was. It probably wasn't very good, but at least we were spending money, getting some deals in, making some money all of a sudden, and that builds your confidence. So marketing does work. People spend millions of dollars on marketing all across the world, and it's what drives business. So that was a big hurdle to get over.
No, absolutely. Like the biggest shops in REI, they've got sometimes like 50, $60,000 marketing budgets monthly,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And they do it because it works, and they're
yeah,
using multiple marketing channels because all of those marketing channels bring in deals. They're all a little bit cyclical, a little bit up and down, but it definitely works. But the
yeah,
the scary part for especially for somebody coming in is like in a perfect world, you'd close 3 deals, get some cash, get some cash flow coming in, have a little extra money to burn, and then start marketing, right?
yeah,
But unfortunately, you really have to take that kind of fear leap a little bit
mhm,
and start some early stage marketing. So, I mean,
yep,
for us, for launch control, it's really the cheapest entry point for marketing is text. But it sounds like you guys started with direct mail. But was it how early into your journey did you actually kind of say, you know what, we got to do this and start doing a little bit of marketing?
yeah. Well, I mean, we started soon. As soon as we formed our business, we started direct mail. But back then, there wasn't text platforms available.
Yeah.
So when Launch Control started, I remember when you guys started, we were some of the early signups, and it worked great. It did great for us. And so I wish texting had been around when I started, because it could have
Sure.
gotten in with a little less risk and a little less cost per deal. But all we had really was direct mail was kind of the thing in 2015. That was the way to do it. Response
Yeah.
rate were supposedly supposed to be decent, and we were getting good response rates. But then it becomes our ability to close and our ability to follow up and all that. So Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there is a certain advantage that people coming in now have that you and your brother didn't have in
Mhm.
2014. And that's just the kind of evolution of, free and cheap marketing.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, like launch control has a very low price point in terms of the ROI that you're gonna get from the deals coming in. But when
Mhm.
you complement that with some work that you're doing on, like, social media to get some social media out there, which is free, to get some, whether using Instagram or TikTok, but to get that kind of content out that explains more about your business and how you can help homeowners, you being able to do some like low level stuff on PPC that isn't going to cost you too much. You have to be careful about how much you
Mhm.
spend there, but you can control costs there. There are a multitude of ways now that you can. Websites are almost free to build at this point, which in 2014 it was like, who are we going to hire? That's expensive.
Yeah.
You didn't have like a simple template that you could just plug in some text and have it ready to go, right? So the ability to mock up from a marketing sense, like a fully stood up business without spending a lot of money, and a decent marketing program without spending a lot of money, it's exponentially easier today than it was when you were getting started. So
That definitely is. Yeah. I remember thinking like we have to send out a lot of mail to get a deal. And we just knew that. That's what we had to do. And yeah, the cost per deal much better with texting. I just wish it had been around then because
yeah.
we took advantage of it later for sure. Yeah.
So how'd
Uh,
you guys learn what to say? Right? Like when you
yeah.
first started getting calls coming in from direct mail, or you were able to contact somebody through those auctions, like what was your learning process for just figuring out how to do the game?
Yeah, we there was a coach in our in our town that we I think we signed up for like a kind of a cheap coaching program with him, and he had scripts and he had a way of doing it. It's not at all the way we do it now, but it was at least something. It gave us something to work from, and but I remember those first calls coming in and not knowing what to say and being scared of the phone and being scared when it rang um, but you start having conversations and you start talking to people and you start to realize that I don't know, you just get over that pretty quickly. You just get over it, and a lot of our approach was very much like kind of getting right to the numbers fast. Like what do you want to sell for? What's the lowest you can go? That's not the approach we use now. Our approach now is much more of building trust, asking about everything other than price, getting to price later. So, but it was something, and we ran with that for a while until we learned a better way.
No, I mean, yeah, and that is the better way, right? Like that's
Mhm.
that's the evolution that everybody makes.
Mhm.
Is they everybody goes in, like I said, in the beginning, you have to have a couple deals under your belt, right? That's where the comfort comes in, because then you have a little bit of money to spend. You can think about where you want your marketing dollars to go, but you have to make money, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to have a couple deals to come in. And so very understandably, most people come in with that approach that you and Justin took, which is, well, how low can you go? What margin can I make off this? Let's get the deal done so you can move on to the next. But it's at the end of the day, you're speaking to an individual, and that individual, if you're speaking to them, is is probably in a tough spot,
Yeah.
right? So,
Mhm.
and if you can build trust and you can create a human connection with them, a one-on-one connection with them, where they feel like they are, they know they're not selling for a high profit on MLS. But if they at least feel like they're being taken care of, that of the options in front of them, you're going to be straight with them. That's the approach that all of the really, really, really high producing investors take, right?
Yep.
Anybody doing 100 plus deals a year, I guarantee you every single one of them has scripting that's based on building trust. Every one of
Right.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could get away with not building trust a little bit back then. I remember, response rates were high. It was maybe a little bit easier to, um, to kind of close a deal, at least in our market, where we were. But now it's very much about building trust, and it probably always has been that way. We would just kind of got away with it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's one of the things that we really talk about with our clients at Launch Control, and especially through our customer success team, is starting that conversation early,
Mhm.
because or that trust building early. Because what I find, what happens a lot is, what where people learn to have that trust building scripting and that trust building kind of approach. They learn it when they work with mentors or work with coaches, and that often starts at the point of phone call, right? So
Mhm.
like from discovery call forward, they're building trust and they're providing solutions, and they're putting the seller at a place of ease, right, where they feel like
Yep.
they're being taken care of. But in a lot of their marketing, whether it's via text or direct mail or whatever, it's want cash fast? How
Yeah.
much, and it's all like a very kind of in your face, like not
Mhm.
not building trust, but rather more of that initial approach that you and your brother were taking. That tends to still dominate the marketing side. And it's
Mhm.
not until they actually hit the sales funnel that the build loyalty, build trust, build rapport actually starts.
Yeah, it's interesting. We run TV ads as well, and we changed up our ads last year to try to make it a little bit more of a, hey, come to us for a convenient offer kind of thing. And we noticed that leads dropped pretty hard. And we went back to more the direct, sell me your ugly house type of message, and they came back.
Hmm.
So it's almost like people need to know, what is it that you do, and all right, and let the marketing tell that. And then when they come in, now let's 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 build trust. Um and we start that trust building process with lead management. Like that lead management call, it's not a, hey, when can I put you on the schedule? It's a mini acquisitions appointment. I mean, we're going deep with them. We're getting everything except for negotiating numbers.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that some
Mhm.
people don't do. They sort of make that a 5-minute call just to try to get you on a schedule, go through the 4 pillars or whatever. No, we're not doing that. We're just we're building trust in that first call.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that that works well, via TV, and I do
Mhm.
think TV is like a kind of an emotional response, right? Like
Mhm.
you see the ad, you're like, "Yes, I need that," and you
Yeah.
respond, right? Where there are other marketing, you can't nurture via TV. You need a reaction via TV, right?
Yeah. Right.
Whereas there are other marketing mediums where you can nurture, and
Yeah.
you can kind of build trust by through, multiple messages. Even in text, even if you're talking about, like outreach on a cold outreach sense, you still got 2 or 3 opportunities to reach out to the homeowner, so you can
Mhm.
do a mini nurture sequence. So you don't necessarily need to start with that immediate impact, or that immediate response approach. You can do a bit of nurturing because you've got a
Mhm.
couple of at bats, and that often can help build trust because, in TV, you're not competing with 15 other companies that are running TV ads that are in that same market that are hitting that same seller, right?
Right.
Whereas with direct mail and text and PPC, well, direct mail and text in particular, you've got individuals that are, they hit the same lists, and they match the same distress factors. So you're getting a bit of white noise where everybody is taking the same approach, right? They're
Mhm.
looking at their mailbox and they've got 4 different direct mailers, all of which offer the same thing. They've
Yeah.
got 5 text messages that came in, all of which offer the same thing. So in that environment, you kind of have to stand out. You have to say something different.
Yeah.
It really, you have to be strategic about which in which marketing channel, what's going to get elicit a response from the seller.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Very true.
So with, getting back just to sort of the basics of how you guys got started, because this is something I'm always curious about. I feel like there's a ton of mentorship on the front end of, you know, what marketing channels you should use, and coaching tactics for closing a discovery call. How did you guys learn the back end? Like for our users that are coming in new, so like um, contracting and then finding your buyers and being able to offload a deal once you got one in. Like, what was your learning experience there?
Yeah, we started joining masterminds in about 2000, I think 2018, so 3 years in,
Mhm.
and that's where we really learned a lot. So you know, you can learn a lot through podcasts, and you learn a lot through um, just YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you got to get around people that are doing the same thing you are, and that's where you really learn the nitty gritty part of the business. And so that's I would say that's where we learned it. And I mean, even as you grow, you try to get from um, 40 deals a year to 60 or 80 or get to 100. There's never a time when you don't need coaching. And I think we learn that as well. It's like there's some times when you got to break through some ceilings, and you need someone at that level who can help you get there. So
Yeah.
we've done that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think mentorship is hugely important. It For the, the mastermind groups, a lot of times, there can be, I know some of the great ones. We're both involved in some of
Mhm.
the really big ones like CG. For somebody who's more in like the beginning stages, did you use, like Facebook groups or anything like that that were more kind of, you know,
Yeah, it's a good
cost
question.
friendly?
I think it was a lot of podcasts. A lot of
Yeah,
So when I started, I started around the same time Bigger Pockets started their podcast. I believe. I think that's right. I haven't gone back and checked, but I'm pretty sure it was like
yeah,
podcast 10 or something when I started.
they've done all
So
right.
they've done pretty good, yeah. So I would listen to those religiously and
Yeah,
learned a lot from that. And you can learn a ton just free.
yeah.
We weren't doing wholesaling really back then. We were doing fix and flips,
Hmm.
which I don't know that I would. We're now away from fix and flips. We're back to like novations and assignments. But that was a little bit of a mental thing we had to get over. We just thought that fix and flip was the better way to go. I actually think the other way is a better way to go now. So we didn't really need to learn about how to find buyers, and we probably learned that later, a little later than we should have, kind of how to build a dispo team and all that. But a lot of it was just how to get it under contract, and then uh, and then rehabbing was just kind of find a good contractor and do the basics and
Yeah.
do what needs to be done. And so um, yeah, I think our learning really took a long time. It took a while and took years to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I do actually want to talk about, because I know you guys have really been doing well with novations and assignments, and
Hmm.
I do want to talk about that. But let's put a pin in that for
Okay.
for a minute,
Yeah.
and let's talk about RiverXai, because I know that's the big venture you guys got going on right now. It looks really exciting. So I want to give you a chance to kind of talk through that a bit first.
Yeah. So RiverXai is a brand we started early June, and so we're resellers of WooSender AI. So WooSender is the leading conversational AI platform out there, used by the U.S. Army for recruiting high school and college students. So and I think it's got like something like 12,000 clients across the world. And we signed up for that with them in early part of the year, started to integrate it with our CRM, and just testing it out, seeing how it works, and realized that it, like everything I was hoping it would be, it was, which is, it delivers, it doesn't go off and have weird conversations like Chat GPT can do sometimes. And it
I
does
learned that
exactly.
lesson.
Yeah. It's a selective language model. So it's built to just set appointments. That's what it's built to do. It's not built to talk to you about history and, you know, religion and a bunch of things. It's not going to go off like that. So it's built to set appointments. It's very good at that. and that's what it does. Anyway, we integrated with our CRM, started testing it, realized that it worked, and we noticed, first 3 months we got 10 extra deals from it, just from it re-engaging. Well, a lot of it being unresponsive leads. I think 8 of those 10 were unresponsive leads. Leads that come in, we're not able to get a hold of them. They push over to the AI system. The AI system starts working it, re-engages it, comes back as an appointment, like a lead management appointment.
Hmm.
And so I was really impressed with that.
With RiverX AI, when you guys implemented that, what do you think the biggest differentiator was for being able to bridge the gap where you weren't getting appointments from some of those non-responders, and you now were able to by implementing the system? What was the thing that made that happen?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I've thought about this a lot. I think what it is, I think AI, this AI system works specifically well with unresponsives, because when someone's unresponsive, that indicates they've got something going on in their day. They're busy. They're not like just sitting around waiting for our phone call. So they reached out to us. We tried to call them back, weren't able to get a hold of them. They got something going on. So when you push it over to the AI system, the AI system starts to send out automated text and emails. Whenever they happen to respond, we need to be on them immediately. And that's what the AI does. Because if we wait again, they're going to be busy again. And I think that's why often when somebody goes unresponsive, it's really hard to get them back, because we have to that timing has to be perfect. With the AI, it's responding. It actually kicks in when they respond to to the automated messages that go out, and it responds within seconds. So
Yeah,
I think that's it.
I agree 100%. It's something that the phrase I use for it is speed of play. But
Mhm.
it's in really all forms of marketing, it's extremely important, to be able to have that really quick response. I was speaking to Brent Daniels the other day, and he was talking about, when they process PPC leads, that, we have to call them within the first, I forget if he said 2 or 3 minutes, but it's
Yeah.
really fast, right, to be able to have that quick response. And then, on the launch side, we have a done for you service called Launch Leads, and
Mhm.
it's the big differentiator for that. And what we insist on with people that we work with is, when we get someone who's willing to have a phone call, we need your team to call them within 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not going to work. If you don't do that, the efficacy of the service goes way, 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 way down, right? It's not, when you get the seller interest coming in, it's not email, right? Email, you've got a 24, maybe even a 48-hour window to politely respond, and
Yeah.
and people can kind of come back get back to you when they have the time. But if somebody has their cell phone in their hand and they're looking at it, they haven't put it back in their pocket yet, you've got that window. You've got, in the time between them looking at the message and losing interest and putting their phone back in their pocket, that's the window you have to get to them, right? So
Yeah.
it has to be really quick in text, and it oftentimes has to be very quick in terms of any of the other leads coming in, right? PPC, or they called in, or you got their number, and you want to gauge interest really quick. Like, you need to be the first person to get back to them, right? and
Mhm.
and that's going to have a huge difference. And it's also important to remember sometimes that, um, and it's not you're not the only person they're talking to, right? Like,
Right.
if they've gotten to the point where they're looking to sell their home, they're aware that they need to go with an off market or non-traditional route, they're doing the research, right? So yes, building trust is important, but being first in line, and creating solutions that somebody is going to have to top or better, put you in an incredible position.
Right. I 100% agree. I think I used to not realize how important that was in the past. I remember we used to let we had a process early on, was like, you don't even answer calls. You just let them, direct mail calls hit, and then you call them back, and you don't even call back the ones who don't leave messages. That's how we used to do it in 2015.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think you used the word process, right?
mhm.
And that's what it usually comes down to, is just having the right process. If you have, AI scripting from your CRM, that's able to it, to create that experience of being heard and responded to almost immediately, then you can create, you know, 8 additional hot leads, 10 additional hot leads out of these conversations that may have seemed neutral
Yeah.
in previously, right? And you know, we do the same thing with launch, is that if you use the quick replies correctly in launch and you create them in a way that it mimics a script, so based on the response coming in, you've got a quick reply. So even if you have a VA running the system, it's they're just matching response to quick reply at different levels of the conversation, not just initial response. So that gives you the ability to be able to have that immediate response to anyone coming in while they have their phone in their hand, right? Or through the CRM system, like as soon as they engage, you re-engage, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm curious on a CRM system though, because this is what I see as is a difficulty with both our platform and yours, is that you can only rely on automation to a certain extent. At
Yes.
some point, you need an expert, a subject matter expert, a real estate subject matter expert to step in, create that relationship, create those solutions, and get the deal done. So how
Mhm.
do you manage that with your team of the balance between automation and in person?
Yeah, I think so. For one thing, I think with RiverXai, it's built to take some of the heavy lifting out of follow up, and the heavy lifting and follow up is prospecting, and it's working those unresponsives that are a big priority. But ultimately, we all know our lead management team is going to be focused on the new stuff, which is a bigger priority. But
Yeah.
unresponsive is still important. It's just that they kind of get forgotten a little bit, even though we have processes where they're supposed to hammer them. So you turn AI loose on that stuff. You turn AI loose on the stuff that actually demoralizes people and is tedious and expensive and hard to do, and then have AI just set the appointment. Just set the appointment, and then the thing I like about this AI system, it understands that human beings are what we need to build trust. It's not. It doesn't think it's better than a human being at building trust. Let AI set the appointment, and then let a human being get on the phone and actually, set that acquisition appointment and close the deal. So I think that's where we just differentiate it. We still need to do manual follow up, though. This doesn't replace manual follow up. There still needs to be. I think of it as high tech and low tech. There's high tech with automations and AI. Low tech is sometimes we just got to get in there and like hunt, and what fell through the cracks. Go through the last, are all the leads that came in the last 30 days, and just what fell through the cracks, what didn't get followed up on. That still needs to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one of the things for people early or even early to mid stage, one of the sales conversion things that is tough is that you can't rest on any one element, right?
Hmm.
Like you need to create a system of multiple touch points, and oftentimes that's a human touch point, right? So if if all we did is if all you did was like through launch is someone responds and you set one quick reply, right? But
Hmm.
there's no system in place to call that person within a short window. To if you know if you've got another avenue that you can get to them, to get to them through that other avenue, but to just use isolated channels and not use those channels together, you're not going to get the results that you'll get if you've got a system in place that uses multiple touch points, where it says like, yeah, the AI is going to pick this up and try to set the appointment, but we're also going to follow up with a call cadence and non aggressive, non off-putting call sequence, but something that we're going to take the chance that this person is actually going to get on the phone and we can actually jump to that point of discovery and get through it, right? But
Yeah.
it's it's really important for everybody that's scaling up, I think, and creating some level of volume to not become over dependent on single channels, but rather figure out how those channels work together so that you are always at the ready, essentially, to
Yeah.
close if somebody's ready to close.
Right. Right. Yeah. We even jump into the AI system sometimes, and you can jump in and take over. Sometimes the conversation is going, our lead manager will jump in and take over. Um, Other times the AI sets the appointment, everything works. But yeah, it's never, nothing is a set and forget. That's for sure true. Nothing is
Yeah.
just set and forget. Yeah.
So what's the integration like for you guys? Are you
Yeah.
like
So it's all through Zapier. So part of what we offer is those Zapier recipes to integrate with your CRM. And the integration, it's based on stage changes. So if you move a on the CRM side, if you move a lead from, for example, new to unresponsive, that's going to send a trigger over to the AI to start hammering this particular lead. And the lead is actually created on the AI side. It doesn't jump inside your CRM. They're two separate platforms, but they talk to each other through Zapier. I think of it as like the CRM is still the boss, and RiverXai is almost like an assistant for the bot for the CRM to run follow up and that kind of thing. But you still want all your the CRM is still the thing that controls all the information. It's not two different systems you now have to try to manage. That was really important to me to make sure that that was not the case. Um, yeah.
yeah, no, that's smart, and and definitely as you're scaling up, definitely necessary, right? I like that you phrased it as it's essentially an assistant working within the CRM,
Yeah.
because um or what I think is a really important line to draw, and it's exactly where you're drawing the line, is getting up to the point of an appointment, is that can be done almost as an administrative task, right? You're identifying interest and you're identifying availability, right? But
Yep.
everything beyond that is a real estate investment conversation. You don't
Right.
want a piece of tech having a real estate investment conversation, and unless they're extremely well trained, you don't want a VA having a real estate
Mhm.
investment conversation, because there are nuances to those conversations, and as you get bigger, when you get up to like the level that you and Justin are at, there's lots of different solutions you can take them, right?
Mhm.
Like, you could fix and flip it. It could be a novation. I don't know if you guys are licensed and selling yourself, but you could do it as an MLS deal. You could,
Yeah.
there's 15 different paths you could take them down, and only you're going to know via that conversation which path is going to be most beneficial to both you and the seller, right? So
Right.
we do the same thing. I mentioned launch leads. We do the same thing with launch leads. Is we run all of the text marketing, and we identify willingness to set an appointment, and then we hand it off. Right? We're not trying to find out what's motivating the homeowner or what their timeline is, or who else they've been speaking to, like in the condition of the roof. Like, all of that is a real estate investment conversation. But as a marketing function, we can take it up to the point that the person says, "Yes, I want to have a phone call." Right? And that line, whether it's through outbound tools or your CRM, I think is a really important line to draw, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is where AI, there's lots of really impressive AI demos out there where it sounds like you're talking to a real person when there's the demos. But we don't want to get tempted by that because you start, first of all, if it were possible for AI to actually have a real estate conversation, which it's not, but let's say it was, we're inauthentic about trust building. Like if you have a computer trying to build trust with a human being, all of a sudden we're super inauthentic. And that's going to somehow show through eventually. Maybe we can fool people for a while, but the only way to truly have a trust building conversation is a human being with true empathy and that's a human being thing. That I
Right.
don't actually believe that machines are ever going to replace that because if they do, we're basically just lying to a bunch of people and trying to make them think we care when it's just a machine that doesn't care at all. So let the machine set the appointment, and then let's continue to do it the way we do it best, which is build trust, understand what's going on, and try to come to a solution. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the industry, while always changing, it feels like there is, both a lot of adjustments that are being made in just the general processes of like what how we take down deals within the REI space, as well as a change in tools and software and things that people are using, things like the advancement of AI. I feel like you have a very unique lens on this because if I get this correctly, you and Justin are doing 100 plus deals a year still, even
Yeah,
even
we're
with.
we're about there, about 100. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So you're still deep, deep, deep in the game, but you're also advancing the software and tools side of it. So, doing a little bit of prognostication, like where do you see the industry headed, both in that kind of on the ground, getting deals done, what works for sellers level, and then also kind of how that's going to be supported by the tech side.
Yeah, I think well, I mean, I don't know if you're referring to, I mean, the laws are changing, first of all, with some of the wholesaling laws and some of that stuff. So we've always got to stay ahead of that. And that was a switch we made into Novations. Novations became, that wasn't actually the result of any particular law change, but it was more like, um, hey, here's a way to actually de-risk, de-risk and flip money without having to close on that deal.
Hmm.
So it's amazing some of the things that that have come when that I didn't even know about back 10 years ago. And so there's always innovation in that and how you structure deals. And same thing with like doing some kind of installment sale or something like that to get around wholesaling laws that come up. But yeah, as far as the tech side goes, I think AI is going to definitely continue to play a big part in that. But I still think there's still human to human sales that I don't see that really going away. There's still things that stay. Like we still have to build trust with a grandma who wants to sell, and she's got to understand that we care about what's going on, and we can help her the best we can. There's certain things that don't get replaced, and then there's certain things that do. Yeah.
So in terms of going back to like the novations and assignments, for
Mhm.
instance, and educate me on this, because when someone comes in and they're getting involved in wholesaling in the beginning, one of the big pushes that they'll get when they go to YouTube University is you need nothing to get started, right? You don't need any money to get started on this. You just need to go out, do driving for dollars, knock on some doors, find a deal, get some money, you're off and running, right?
Mhm.
It's a zero down entry point for building an entrepreneurial pursuit, right?
Yeah.
Is that changing? Like, but if you wanted to just start with novations, if you want to just start with subject two, do you still have that $0 entry point barrier, or is it harder now?
I think it's I don't know that it ever was like $0 because you can with $0 find a deal. I think that's
Right.
always been possible. You could drive around and find a deal. But to actually go full time in a business, you need scale to do that. And
Yeah.
and there's a difference between I don't need to spend any money to maybe find a one deal every 6 months. Maybe that's possible. That's maybe even more than that. Maybe one a quarter or something. But to quit your job and go full time, like you've got to quickly get up to a certain scale in order to pay overhead and pay yourself and make enough money for that. And that takes money to get there. I think with things like launch control and some of the tech like that, it's become easier to maybe not have to spend quite as much money. But I don't really buy into the like you can just immediately go from zero to revenue in, uh, especially if you're trying to do it full time. Like, it's still business. It's still business that takes some money to
Yeah.
get started. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah.
Well, we talked early on in the conversation, we talked about mentorship, right?
Mhm,
And the importance of mentors. And, at this point, you've grown to the point that anybody would love to have you as a mentor, right?
mhm.
So if you could look back and kind of look at your career, and how you and your brother built up your business, looking forward like we just did, for people that are just coming in or just getting started, what are like two, three pieces of advice that you would give them, to really help grow and scale their businesses?
Yeah, I think really, really, find some cheap marketing channels that can just get you some quick wins. You can get some quick wins going, and then work on processes early on. Like really focus on processes and what is. Don't wing it for too long. We kind of wing it for a while, but try to start building out processes because that'll really help you even as you hire people know what to do inside the business. Um, and I think the other thing is like, if you want to be full time anyway, there is kind of like you want to move fairly quickly through kind of scale up fairly quickly because you can kind of sit in 20 deals a year or 10 deals a year and kind of churn for a while. And we did that for a while. And a little bit scared to spend more money on marketing when actually it's actually safer to go higher in marketing because you start building your spread on above your overhead.
Hmm.
It's a longer conversation, but it's something we definitely learned. There's a kind of a middle ground, especially when you're full time, that is a little dangerous because you're making enough money to because you got some overhead and you want to get above that as quick as you can. So I think the other thing is step into it. Don't maybe keep your job a little longer than you feel like you want to,
Hmm.
and get past that point. Then you can jump in when you've scaled up a little bit more and you've got some spread in your gross margin. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great conversation. Just advance warning, I may hit you up to come back on to talk about that. I think
yeah,
that's useful information for everybody to
yeah,
have.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, no, I really appreciate the insights. I think that people get a lot out of this. I'm going to go ahead and put this up right now so everybody can see it. For anybody that's interested in RiverX AI, if you're watching this replay, it's right down there on the bottom of the screen. Grab a screen capture. For anybody just listening in on any of the other channels, we'll put it in the episode description, so you can review and get in touch with Brad. And then we'll, for anybody that is either currently using Launch Control, wants to implement RiverX AI, or vice versa, is using RiverX AI and wants to implement Launch Control, reach out. We'll work with both of our onboarding teams and make sure that you guys get integrated with both systems as well as possible.
yeah.
So, Brad, really appreciate it. Anything else that you want to add? Anything else you want to promote? While I still got you.
No, I think that's it. I really think Launch and RiverX work really well together. Launch doing the outbound marketing coming in, RiverX focusing on the on getting your follow up, basically doing all the follow up stuff that you hate to do anyway. That we're all bad at. We're all bad at follow up. So
Yeah.
let AI handle that, set appointments, and it'll just make your business better. So I think it's a real good combination between the two.
Couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thanks everyone for listening in. Brad, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.